My US Airborne Company is not having their best day of the war, as a strafing run from the Luftwaffe forces us out of our strongest position in the middle of the map, and a pair of Panzers starts to roll right up our flank. We've been sent here from Company of Heroes 3's dynamic campaign map to capture an airfield, which would not only stop these attacks from above that keep plaguing us in every mission, but allow us to deploy behind enemy lines or resupply by air. Even in its pre-alpha state, this dust-up in southern Italy shows off a spectacular layered warscape, where small decisions made at the unit level can echo all the way up to a grand strategic theater. Company of Heroes 2 toyed with the idea of doing a dynamic campaign map in the Ardennes Assault expansion, but Company of Heroes 3 has gone all out. We don't have a lot of footage of the campaign map yet, but I got to play around with it quite a bit, and I'd compare the scope and complexity almost to something like Total War. Companies and specific leaders level up and gain new abilities. Special optional missions like an assassination or extraction will pop up from time to time. Capturing a town and breaking an enemy supply line can be a clutch play. There are even new unit types called detachments who can fight each other in auto-resolved battles on the campaign map, or join a full-fledged company as a roster modifier in real-time battles if they're close by. Small skirmishes between detachments allow much more strategic decision-making without bogging down the pace with dozens of RTS missions per turn. On the battlefield, Company of Heroes 3 feels more evolutionary than revolutionary, though. In some ways, it's actually a bit of a throwback. Based on fan feedback, Relic wanted to create a game with an emphasis on infantry and pacing closer to COH1 as opposed to COH2, which could escalate into a giant tank war pretty quickly. The intimacy of war this series has always been so good at portraying is all here in higher detail than ever, with heartbreakingly realistic animations and unit calls.
Half-track destroyed! Reorg!
However, the carnage unfolds across a generally much brighter, more colorful backdrop of Italy and North Africa. Modern tech has allowed Company of Heroes 3 to really amp up the destruction from an artillery barrage or armored push. Driving a tank right through a building might be a viable way to smash an enemy hardpoint, and a soaring villa can be rendered into a cascade of falling plaster and roof tiles by artillery. Relic hasn't decided yet how they're going to handle things like damage from falling debris, and it may work differently in single-player versus multiplayer modes. Many infantry squads can also now breach buildings that are garrisoned by enemy units, kicking the door down in proper war movie fashion and tossing in a grenade before storming it. This allowed me to play a lot more aggressively in infantry versus infantry skirmishes, which feels great overall. It avoids those stalemates where you basically have to wait until you have the firepower to completely level everything to make any progress. Vehicle combat hasn't been left by the wayside either, though. Tanks now have a side armor value in addition to front and rear, which makes tank duels a lot more interesting. I was able to take out that Panzer duo from earlier with some hastily deployed light tanks just by dancing around their flanks and making sure I always had my hardened front end pointed their way. It takes a lot of micro, but Company of Heroes 3 even has new ways to deal with that. Tactical Pause lets you freeze a battle in place in single player and issue a chain of multiple orders to your units, which will be executed to the best of their ability when you resume. This feature won't be available in competitive multiplayer, and it was described to me almost like training wheels for newer players. But even as someone who has been playing RTSs for most of my life, I really appreciated the more thoughtful playstyle it enables. Late into a match, Company of Heroes can really get too busy to follow everything that's going on. And especially with how good this one looks, I'd rather pause, give everyone their marching orders, and then be able to zoom in and watch the action, rather than zipping all over the map, constantly trying to put out fires. You can check out the Company of Heroes 3 pre-alpha preview on PC for yourself starting today. And for more, check out our article on how Company of Heroes 3 compares to Company of Heroes 1 and 2. And for everything else, stick with IGN.